Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video I want to talk to you guys about cutting with the medieval sword, okay? In many years as I was participating in HEMA, there was often discussion about, whether you should basically just use your arms or hip the shots. Now with the German longsword, basically they had two types of fighting. They had completely unarmored combat, and they had full plate combat. Okay, they never really covered male combat. Okay, now in this channel we're talking about sword and shield, and we're talking about a full-size war shield. Okay, so this is not civilian warfare. This is military warfare. These are knights that we're talking about. So first of all, let's look at the type of sword that most knights prefer. Basically, what I'm holding right here in my hands. And if we look at it, this is a pretty blade-heavy sword. Okay, balance point is over here. This thing weighs, it's a little bit less than 3 pounds. And the reason why they prefer this type of a sword is because from horseback, this is an awesome sword. It's long, all right? It's got plenty of reach. And we have to keep in mind that the preferred mode of combat for medieval knights was from horseback. In fact, in most, like in England, we have the word knight. Okay, but that's an English word. In most other nationalities, the word for knight was basically rider or horseman. Okay, the word chivalry comes from cheval, which means horse. Okay, in Spain, I believe it was caballero. Okay, which is rider. In Greek, it's hypotis, which is again it's rider. So the defining characteristic of the knight was his horse. And basically when you think of knights, don't think of Marines. Think of and I'm putting things in a modern day context now. Don't think of modern day Marines. Think of modern day F-15 fighter jet pilots. Okay, these were the top guns of their time. So the knight's preferred combat was from horse, and basically a blade-heavy sword like this is great from horseback because their primary weapon would have been the heavy lance, or earlier on the spear, and basically they charge in. Typically the lance or the spear will break. If they're able to retrieve it, great. If they're unable to retrieve it, then basically they have their sword. Okay, that's their backup weapon. So basically, from horseback, they're controlling the horse with this hand, or that they have a shield in this hand, and as they're riding along, they're basically using the momentum of the horse to generate that power, and they're also utilizing gravity. Okay, they're cutting down. So this is why this was such a popular sword type with medieval knights. Okay, now this was also a sword that was used. This is a more tapered sword. It was a little bit less popular, but used nonetheless. I prefer this type of a sword. The reason why I prefer this sword is because when I'm fighting, I'm primarily fighting on foot. Okay, so I'm fighting on foot, and this type of a sword with a tapered edge is better for foot combat. Okay, and basically it's quicker. I'm able to make fast shots. Okay. By the way, this is a blade. This is a blunt blade, right? Completely blunt. Okay. And I have here a fresh piece of wood, and basically this wood has plenty of give the way I have it set up. Okay. And basically, with this type of a sword, what I'm utilizing is speed. Okay. This sword by itself, if I make a light cut like that, that's gonna do absolutely, it's going to do very little. It's making some dents in the wood. But the way this sword works is with speed. And what I have here is a piece of leather with some padding underneath it. Okay? And with this sword, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a really fast strike at this leather over here. And the way I'm doing is I'm basically utilizing my hips to create torque. Okay? So it's hips, then chest, and then arm. And what I'm also doing is I'm doing a push-pull with my hand. Okay, so that's adding a little bit, because that by itself, okay, over here, here's a fresh spot right here. Just using my hand, Okay, you can see how I just nicked the wood a little bit just with my hand. So when I add hips, chest, and arm, I can make a very powerful strike with a blunt sword. Okay, so let's take this off now. Actually, let's make a second strike just to, so we have 2 strikes. Okay. All right, so we have 2 strikes right here. One there and one there. I'm going to make one more strike up here where I can see there's a more clear wood and it'll stand out even more. All right, so I'm going to make a strike up in that area where I know there's no nicks in the wood. All right, here we go. All right, you can see how I made a nice deep gash in there. Let's see if I can pull the wood bring closer to the camera. There we go. All right, you can see this is through the leather and padding. You can see how we're biting pretty deep into that wood. All right, these are the earlier ones. All right, now the sword is blunt so that you can see how it actually, instead of making a really sharp cut, it's actually, it's making a much wider cut into the wood through that padding and through this leather. All right, what I'm gonna do is let me put this back down. And the reason why we're having this discussion is because a lot of times when I see people discussing sword and shield and demonstrating, wrap that around. Okay. A lot of times I'm seeing cuts that are basically just from the arm, and they're like really, light like that. And that might be fine for unarmored combat, with the sword and buckler where we're seeing people unarmored. But that's a war shield, okay? We have to assume that for this combat, everybody is in mail armor, or at least has some leather or layers of thick cloth. Basically nobody's going to a medieval battle in a t-shirt and a tank top, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this sword down. Okay, that's the lighter sword. Like I said, I like using this sword for a couple of reasons. For the type of fighting that I do, which is on foot, I'm able to make really fast cuts, and really fast follow-ups. Cut there, okay? A lot faster than I can with this sword. This sword, because it's more blade heavy, requires more wind up, okay? So I have to wind this sword up a lot more if I'm on foot, okay? But like I said earlier, knights primarily fought from horseback, so their primary sword would have been the one best suited to fighting from horseback. So that's why this style of sword was the most popular. Let's strike this this piece of leather and padding over here. Yeah, actually, I'll use the sword. I'll use the shield too. All right. So basically, again, same deal. Hips, hips, chest, and then arm. Okay. That's how we make our cuts. All right, and I can see that is a pretty devastating blow. Let's put that down. Okay, first of all, we cut through the leather. And there's our cut in the wood. That's through the leather and the padding. Look how deep it went into the wood. Right, and the reason for that, okay, it basically almost went, now obviously I'm cutting at the corner here, but it went almost halfway into the wood, into this 2x4. So this type of a sword makes very powerful blows, but to use this type of sword, basically your arm is going to get very, if you're just trying to arm this, and even though I can do it, it gets very tiring. With this type of a sword, it's basically going to be all hips. Boom, boom, boom. A lot of rotational cuts, okay? So that's the type of fighting that you would do on foot with this type of a sword. Okay, you have to use hips, or you have to do some type of a rotation in order to get this sword moving. Okay, I thought it was important for us to understand, kind of lay this down as a foundation, for, going forward for the type of strikes that we're looking to make here. Okay, we're using a war shield, so we are at war, and almost everybody's going to have some type of protection on. Not plate armor. Okay, we're about 200-300 years before plate armor at this point. But everybody's going to have either mail or some sort of padding with leather or whatnot, or layers of cloth. So those are that's the foundation that we're working on. So if you have any comments, please post them. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Talk to you guys next time.